is Keith Fraze, and I am your worship associate this morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 1064 in your teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
Magarinos, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Whether you have been with this congregation a decade or more, we welcome you. Whether this is your first time visiting us, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which this church building sits as the ancestral homelands of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. A few announcements. There will be a congregational meeting at 11:30 after coffee hour this morning. Please plan to attend. Next Sunday is Christmas Eve. We will be having our special Christmas Eve service that night, starting at 5 p.m. Sign-up sheets for Christmas Eve reception are available in the fellowship hall at coffee hour. We will also have time and space for private meditation in the sanctuary and companionship in Fellowship Hall at 10 a.m. that morning for those who wish to join us. The Board of Trustees would like to thank the following people: the November hospitality team, headed by Betsy Tomick and Ginny Stillman, for providing coffee hour in November, and the Arts Committee for running the wreath sale and fundraiser for the church. Wreaths, centerpieces, and plates are still available for sale, and there will be fresh holly for those who wish to take some home to refresh their arrangements. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly e-newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you are present in the sanctuary, please join us for coffee and conversation in Fellowship Hall. If you are watching the live stream, the link to our Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder in your email. If you are just recently joining us and would like to receive our weekly e-news, please email us at uucroton@gmail.com with your name, and we will make sure to add you to the e-news list. Also, please remember to silence your phones at this time. Once again, we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley.
Good morning. This is a sacred month for so many. Last week in our congregation, we celebrated Hanukkah. This Thursday upcoming is the winter solstice, which is the anchor for our service today. And then next Sunday is Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. This is a time of transformation and rededication, and a reminder that even as the light shifts, the night grows long, it also will soon grow shorter. There's so much in motion around us. And on this cold morning, let's take time to be together in awe of the tradition we are part of that says, though there are many windows, there is one light that shines through them. And though we have come from many spaces into this one sanctuary together, this moment, we are a community. Every week, to honor our tradition, to honor our values of compassion and hope, we ring the bells of our congregation. I now invite the children of the congregation to come forward to the belfry, where we will ring the bells in honor of our values, in honor of those holidays and holidays that mark this month, and especially for hope. We ring the bells this morning. And in honor of the solstice upcoming, I offer a blessing from my colleague, Reverend Kelly Dignan. Winter solstice is a time for contemplation and renewal. It is a time to immerse ourselves in the healing creative dark, for visioning and dreaming, for listening to our own inner wisdom. Solstice is a time to feel the cycles of nature, of death and rebirth, to ponder on the constancy of change, and to appreciate the still point before the next cycle is underway. Winter solstice is a time to let go of the old and to be present to what is. May we be present to the turning of the year. May it be so.
Today's chalice lighting words are from John Seuss. To be of the earth is to know the restlessness of being a seed, the darkness of being planted, the struggle toward the light, the pain of growth into the light, the joy of bursting and bearing fruit, the love of being food for someone, the scattering of your seeds, the decay of the seasons, the mystery of death and the miracle of birth. Now please join me in saying our unison affirmation. The words are in your order of service. Inspired by love, our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing the hymn number 55 in your gray hymnal, Dark of Winter.
Now is the time in our service, usually for a deep meditation. At this time of year, we tell stories. Stories about the traditions which we are part of. Stories about the lessons related to the times we are in. I offer a meditation from Reverend Dr. Kristen Harper, Creation in the Darkness. In the beginning, there was darkness, a blackness that covered all, comprising the building blocks of creation, the nutrients and nurturing needed to birth the world. This dark womb pushed out the light that released the heavens and cradled the plants and stars adorning the universe. It formed the darkened earth from all life came, and to which all life returns when our bodies take their final breath. It is the same darkness that shelters us from an unrelenting sun, that calls animals to safe hibernation, that protects the germination of seed and bulb. Darkness signals an end to the hectic chaos of our days and lulls us to sleep and revitalization, so that we can face the next challenge. There is peace in darkness and mystery and the unknown. And she offers, if we rest in its grace and cease fighting to control this darkness, we might just see in it the face of the holy. In the beginning there was a darkness. The Reverend Daniel Gregoire talks about this as the slowdown time, He writes, "Here we are on the cusp of winter solstice," which this year will be Thursday. And that is the beginning of the winter season. And winter is when, he writes, the light starts to come back. The days will start to get longer. The longest night is the beginning of the rising sun. He says we are called at this time to reflect. To reflect. He writes, "It doesn't help that on the eve of winter, the days are so painfully short. The nights are relentless, and they keep coming earlier. But when the solstice arrives, it comes as a brief reprieve from the growing night and a hopeful signpost." Reverend Gregoire writes, "I need the solstice and all it represents: a threshold, the closing of a chapter, the start to sunlight, timidly warming our cold and frostbitten souls. Winter solstice neatly coincides with our collective desire for a break in time, to unlock and review the past as we look to the light of the future. The end can be a beginning. The end can be a beginning. So whether you are tired that it seems like the darkness keeps getting earlier, whether you wish your after-school programs did not dismiss in the darkness, whether you just want a little more sun, there's something sacred in this time and in the night which we will encounter this week, which is so long. Beautiful night. What will you do with Thursday night? How will you mark it? In all our ways, in all our families, with our friends, we can think about that and act on it. On Thursday, what will you do with the creative darkness? And let us remember that light and dark are connected. And our choir will call us to mind that even as Thursday we honor the long night, starting on Friday, we begin in awe of that joyful light which is with us more. Thank you.
Now, please join us, if you will, in singing The Children Out with song number 413 in your gray hymnal, Go Now in Peace.
Let's try it in 3 parts today. First all together.
Today's reading is A Common Destiny by Reverend David Eaton of blessed memory. Reverend Eaton was a champion of inclusive spirituality and racial justice. Eaton served as president of the Washington, D.C. Public School Board of Education in the 1980s and in 1969 became the first black senior minister at All Souls Unitarian Church in Washington, D.C. Eaton served for over 23 years, inspiring activism for affordable housing, racial justice, and school reform. All Souls has grown into one of the largest and most integrated congregations in our tradition. Eaton writes, "We do things for each other based on the most powerful force in the universe, love." A Common Destiny, dedicated to Peg Pierce. All living substance, all substance of energy and being and purpose are united and share the same destiny. All people, those we love and those we know not of, are united and share the same destiny. Birth to death, we share this unity with the sun, earth, our brothers and sisters, strangers, flowers of the field, snowflakes, volcanoes, and moonbeams. Birth, life, death. Unknown, known, unknown. Our destiny from unknown to unknown. I pray that we will know the awe and not fall into the pit of intellectual arrogance in attempting to explain it away. The mystery can be our substance. May we have the faith to accept this wonderful mystery and build upon its everlasting truth. Let us now bear witness to the joys and sorrows experienced in our community. If you have a brief yet personally significant joy or sorrow that you are willing to share, please come up to the microphone and speak loudly so that everyone, including the people at home, can hear you. If you would prefer only to have a candle lit without speaking, please just stand and raise your hand, and I will light the candle for you. I will light this first candle for all the suffering and the conflicts in the world, in Gaza and Israel, in South Sudan and Ukraine, and so many places. Let's have a moment of silence for all those aching and in mourning in the wider world. And I light the second candle for all the joys, quiet, gentle, and profound, occurring all across the planet in cities, towns, and villages at this very moment. Let's have a moment of silence for all the joys in our world. As we honor the sorrows and joys of the wider world, so do we also have personal joys and sorrows. Now is the time for our personal joys and sorrows.
Hi, I'm Susie Dugan. I have a sorrow, which is Sherry Brown couldn't join us for the choir. I know she really wanted to. I'm sure she's very disappointed. And my joy is my sister Kathy is coming from Seattle for 10 days, so she'll be here Christmas Eve, whoever's here.
I've had 12 radiation treatments and 21 to go. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It gets worse instead of better. But I want to take this moment to thank Gil and Kevin Green for taking me there and back. I couldn't do it myself. Thanks again. And all of you for your kindness during this trial for me.
Hi, I'm Terry Lukin. So last week I asked for a candle to be lit in silence, and it worked. My biopsy was negative, and I get to keep all my organs.
Hi, I'm Monica Dietrich. My grandmother, Elma Jorgensen, entered hospice care at the beginning of the month, and my mom reports mostly that she is frustrated and impatient because she made a decision. But yeah, so she has 7 kids, so keep them in your hearts.
Hi, my name's Sharon. That's my guy over there. I just wanted to say my joy is that you've so welcomed him into this community. And when this happened to me, my diagnosis, I now can see that it's an opening as opposed to a doom. And I never really understood how much a heart can open, but I'm getting there. I think I was on the Leonard Cohen side of it's getting darker. So I'm kind of gradually, moving in the right direction. So that's my joy. And my sorrow is that my very dear friend and art teacher, Jill, is even sicker than I am and keeps returning to the hospital. And I think what keeps me going is I just keep her going because this is not an easy journey. Thank you.
We also acknowledge all the unspoken joys and sorrows held within the sanctuary of our hearts, and all those people who have yet to find a spiritual home where they can share their joys and sorrows.
Now is the time in our service for a moment of prayer, meditation, silence. Spirit of life and love, bigger than the universe, smaller than a grain of sand, be with us in this changing moment. Each day brings new surprises, some healing, some scary. Each week reminds us how precious time is. We are not always as present to one another as we would like to be. Give us the grace to change, and give us the grace to forgive ourselves and begin again. We are not always as kind as we would like to be. Give us the grace to forgive ourselves and to change. May we in this community commit to love, and may the blessings and prayers of our joys and sorrows candles, spoken and unspoken, inspire us to be in the world a source of joy in a difficult time. And may we never be afraid to reach out to that deeper love. Spirit, give us the grace to be present, to change, and to grow. May it be so. One of the blessings of being a Unitarian Universalist is that we have encounters with multiple sacred traditions. As we heard in our story last week from Jackie, a young UU adult, sometimes people don't understand how multiple holidays can be held in the same sanctuary. You have to choose Hanukkah or Christmas. What is solstice doing in a temple? It's all possible. It's all possible because for us, there is a greater depth and connection. I want to offer a poem from almost a century ago from Riven Todd, who lived in this very community that we are in. It is called Croton-on-Hudson. Unexpectedly, on the alien hill, the familiar flower is seen. The smooth pods, the goldenrods, the sorrel's triplets, but sheltered by the broken green of leaves of sumac, where the elders' clustering of flowers might be, by the stranger, be expected. The chirping sparrow pursues a stranger butterfly, and in the wood the catbird mews, and the cricket purls its long song, and after dusk the lightning bugs fly, sparkling among the unfamiliar trees. Here where they mix, the unknown and the known have become a certain place. Here where they mix, the unknown and the known have become a certain place. You and I are in that certain place. A mix of the known and the unknown. 2023 has been, for some people, a beautiful year. For many of us, it's been very harrowing, both in our personal lives, in our communities. Again and again, there are these echoes, these invitations to withdraw, to be fearful, to stop paying attention. And it makes so much sense. It's so easy to do in the world we're in, where even going to coffee shops can seem to be political statements, even where we are constantly reminded we are connected. We are connected. This poem speaks to me on this solstice because it reminds us of the necessity of paying attention to the time we are in and the place we are in. Croton-on-Hudson is actually home to the reservoir that provides water to the city. We are on the boundaries of the beautiful Hudson River, which is a gift and is cleaner because of the work of so many people, including those in this congregation. Sometimes I challenge myself to just look at the river, not to take a photo of it, not to have a phone call while looking at it, just to look at it. And wild things happen. I see ducks. I see clouds. I see sunlight sparkle in ways I didn't know it could upon water. And every time I look at it, it's a different shade of blue. The tides change, and sometimes they're gentle, and sometimes they're raucous. Sometimes they're cascading, almost furious, and sometimes they're so tranquil. Each moment is different. Each day is different. Each time I look at the river is the time I'm looking at the river. I've seen people get into arguments over who can have a better view of the river. That's somewhat not a healthy spiritual practice, but even on Metro North, some people talk about all kinds of things, but I saw this friendship almost implode over who had the better spot. And then in their conversation, they realized in order for both of our needs to be met, we need to sit in different rows. And we will reconvene for lunch at the end of our journey. But that river is so powerful because it's a real-life manifestation of mystery and wonder. The power of the river is a reminder to us of one of our core principles, the web of life of which we are a part, the interdependent web of life. In only a few days, we will encounter the winter solstice, the longest night. In Latin, solstice means the sun stays still. That's not literally true, we know that. But it points to the shifting time of day and night, the changes that are happening around us. And it is a time of transition, remembrance, and creation. Zora Neale Hurston, who was a writer first famous to the world through the Harlem Renaissance, had a deep love for mystery. And in one of her essays, she talked about life as it is does not frighten me. The ever sleepless sea in its bed cries out, how long to time? Million-formed and never motionless flame. The contemplation of these two aspects alone affords me sufficient food for 10 spans of my expected lifetime. Awe is an amazing emotion, and one that constantly asks us to remember how small we are and how big. Recently, Pew Research did a study that I found somewhat terrifying, which asked Americans how they feel about wonder and awe. And it said 46%, well, like roughly 1 in 4 of Americans say once or twice a month they experience deep wonder at the universe. And I know I should be happy about that. I know that's wonderful. 4 out of 10 of us are experiencing wonder every month. That means 6 out of 10 of us are not. 6 out of 10. Pew also asks Americans what we think about our current political culture. This won't surprise you. 79% of Americans expressed a negative sentiment about the current state of our political culture. I thought this was incorrect, and I double-checked, but 2%, which is within the statistical margin of error, 2% offered a positive word to describe our culture. And most people said divisive, polarized, corrupt. So many Americans actually replied dumpster fire that they needed to add that as a category. So as we're coming to this solstice, a profound natural event we did not create, as ancient scripture talks about the world we live, move, and gives us breath, that we did not create. As we are encountering this changing, beautiful natural event that evokes awe and wonder in our ancestors, we come to it at a time when, as a people, we are tense. We are tense as Americans. We are scared as Americans. We are nervous. It's not just in our country. But this is the one we're in. This is the certain place that we are accountable to. The teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, has a powerful anecdote about a boy and his older brother called "Do You Have Time to Love?" And it says, the younger boy was asked by his older brother, "What would you like for your birthday?" The younger brother was very excited by this, but actually didn't know how to answer. You see, his older brother had been very successful, really could buy anything for him if he wanted to. But the younger brother had no words. The younger brother actually didn't really want anything except presents, not gifts, time. And because the older brother, through normal ways of life, was very busy, didn't really have time to engage or connect with his younger sibling. But that was the gift. Thich Nhat Hanh says the most precious gift you can give to the one who you love is your true presence. Your true presence. And that doesn't always have to be in person. Could be a call, could be a letter, could be a card. But that intention to the changing season, the attention to one another. Solstice, Dr. Kristen Harper reminds, invites us to consider the darkness divine and to understand a sense of the sacred big enough to include the darkest night. The awe of the natural world is a teacher, a source of wonder. And many traditions in many contexts, from Mesoamericans to Northern Europe, from Sweden to Mexico, explore and honor this longest night differently. Yet each of them takes time to notice. There are secular holidays dedicated to the solstice. There are ancient pagan traditions dedicated to the solstice. Famously, the Christian church elevated the holiday of Christ's birth to coincide with the solstice time, because it's a time of depth. It's a time of transition. One theologian, John Kiley, talks about what could be more appropriate than to celebrate what the poet George Herbert called love's noon at nature's night. This long night is interpreted by each of us differently with the lens of philosophy and faith we bring, but it's a real anchor point that we're all encountering and that we can all choose to engage or ignore. Reverend Marlon Lavenhart reminds us we need periods of darkness to sleep, to rest, to rejuvenate. We have, he writes, the same emotional needs as our ancestors, and we live in a world that can complicate honoring them. He suggests, especially in American culture, this culture resistant to wonder with a toxic political moment, he says there is a tendency among Americans to keep the lights on no matter what. To keep the lights on no matter what. This week, I had the joy of visiting a series of holiday lights, Christmas and Hanukkah lights, in a neighborhood in Brooklyn, in Dyker Heights, famous for these elaborate displays of electronic light. And it was beautiful. And then in my mind, my imagination wondering, I was like, oh, maybe the congregation could be like this. Maybe we could have all these displays. I wasn't thinking about the electric bill, but then I stopped. And I was like, that's not what we're about. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. If it brings joy, do it. But in our culture, we need to authorize the permission Reverend Marlon is talking about. It's okay to go to sleep. The lights don't have to be on all the time. Everything doesn't have to be a show. It's okay to be present. Showing up can be reaching out and calling someone, or writing a note card, or just offering presence. We don't always have to go 10x. As religious liberals living in the 2020s, you and I are on a journey We don't know where it's going. But we're connected to people who have been trying to figure out how to hold on to sacred traditions and respond to emerging moments for a long time. Before the American Civil War, the Unitarian minister James Freeman Clark had a little manifesto about what a Unitarian congregation could be, the ideal. And he said, in order to realize the ideal, what is needed is not a new theory. We want an instance. We want a real example, an actual specimen, a congregation itself. We want something actual, which, if nothing more, may be a seed out of which the future congregation may grow. It will be imperfect and humble, the ideal congregation, as all beginnings are. And it may be, but the germ of the future just might be in it. For Clark, he said the three principles of a Unitarian congregation, of a free congregation, were that it was voluntary, social, and anchored in congregational worship. Voluntary, the core of the regular members of the congregation do the work and carry on the business, make the decisions. There are no bishops telling us to close or move or how to spend our money. Social, offering meetings beyond the Sunday worship are important to do the work of, called it moral faculty, we would call it social justice, prayer meetings for the spiritual, and discussion groups for the intellectual. And congregational worship, the people take an active part in the reading and prayers and sing the hymns. It's not only restricted to the minister and the choir. The dream, he wrote, was a church of the people. And Keith and all our worship associates enact this every week because you hear multiple voices from this pulpit. Our board members offer reflections on the work and business we do. In 1887, the Western Unitarian Conference said this is what Unitarianism is. At that time, we believe to love the good and live the good is the supreme thing in religion. We hold reason and conscience to be final authorities in matters of religious belief. We honor the Bible and all inspiring scripture, old and new. We revere Jesus and all holy souls that have taught truth, righteousness, and love as prophets of religion. And perhaps you find some resonances with these older framings, perhaps some questions or disagreements, but I offer them up to say we are not alone. We are not the first religious liberals to encounter the solstice or a struggling world or aches and pains. We are part of a journey, and that 19th century seed is still bearing fruit. The principle of voluntary religion is strong. In our own congregation, our board makes a special covenant, 10 promises, which are read each week. It begins with these two: bring our best selves by listening without interrupting, speaking respectfully, expressing ourselves clearly, and encouraging one another to do the same. And then we promise to attend all board meetings we possibly can, arriving on time, prepared for the work to be done, helping to facilitate a timely end to the meeting when possible. But it ends with this beautiful, oh my goodness, two promises. One, honor our personal boundaries. Aware that our time and energy is limited, we will say yes whenever possible and no whenever necessary, so that we find joy in our volunteer work and resentment finds no home. We will express gratitude for all contributions, just like we try to offer that from this pulpit. And then the last one, apologize and forgive. Perfectionism is a barrier to growth, and so we will view our inevitable mistakes as opportunities for growth and deepening of relationship. In a world that is starving for wonder, in a world where literally the phrase dumpster fire needed to be added to a list of descriptors of American politics, is it not a beautiful thing that a group of people have gathered and promised to apologize and forgive, to name that mistakes are inevitable and that the point of our gathering is growth? Danny Halls, who's a scientist on a team working to build a clock that will last 10,000 years. Something I found about from a congregant in this room. He has said, I'm not optimistic because our problems are small. I'm optimistic because our capacity to deal with problems are great. Imagine a world with enough wonder for 10 spans of your expected lifetime. A world where the unknown and the known have become a certain place. A world where it's okay to grow and we work to repair. We're living there right now. Right now. We're living in a world where shortly the longest night is days away. And very soon the light will be with us longer. What will we do with this gift? What will we do with our precious time in this world? May we be grateful. May we grow. And may you, your loved ones, and this community be well.
Each week, we make an offering from the bounty we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in the spirit of love and generosity, aware that we have benefited from those who have gone before, those that in their turn gave generously. Our offering goes to support the work of love and justice undertaken by this community. Today's offering will also be shared with the Cortland Food Pantry located at the Holy Name of Mary Church in Croton. Their mission is to work to alleviate hunger among families and individuals whose income is insufficient for their needs. The pantry serves the communities of Buchanan, Cortland, Croton, Montrose, Peekskill, and Verplank. For more information, please visit their website, foodpantryIncroton.org. You can make your donation in several ways. If present in the sanctuary, you may give cash or a check in the offering plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make your donation via credit card or PayPal using the links provided in the e-newsletter, or by visiting our website, uuchudsonvalley.org. Or if you prefer, you may always mail us a check. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
On a bright summer day, I sat on the ground, watching some ants go walking around. They seemed very busy with what they had found. I wonder how big is their world. I was high in a building, looking down below, watching the people walk to and fro. They all seemed to know where they wanted to go. I wonder how big is our world. How high is the highest? How far is the farthest? Does something begin when there's no more to go? How far is forever and ever and ever? There's so much above me, I wish I could know. On a clear winter night, I looked up in the sky, watching the stars as the night went by, and I thought to myself, who's looking down on those stars so high? And I wonder how big is their world. I wonder how big is their world.
Please join me in the dedication of the offering. The words are in your order of service. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. And please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our final hymn, number 1008, in your teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As we come to the end of the service, I hope you have an amazing solstice. I hope you find time to mark the longest night and the growing return of light the next day. And next weekend, just as a reminder to all, our 10 a.m. time, the congregation will be open, but we won't be having a regular service. This beautiful sanctuary will be open. If you need time to just sit and meditate and just want 10 minutes to look at the window, come here and do it. And there'll be friends and colleagues in the fellowship hall for conversation and connection. At 5 o'clock next Sunday, we will have our Christmas Eve service. You are all welcome, you are all invited, and may we celebrate this time of rededication, remembrance, and connection. May you have a week filled with love, joy, and hope unfolding. May it be so.